What's up guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the 05 Plus swap, specifically the rear suspension. We're gonna get the leaf springs ready and basically bolt it on in place. So let's get right to it. So if you missed the last video, we did go ahead and get our frame painted. And let me tell you man, it looks clean. I love the way that it turned out. I didn't go into much detail in that video, I don't know why, about what I used to paint it. I used some of this stuff. It might be good, it might not. I think it'll be fine. I did about at least four or five coats on it, so it took a lot. It feels super nice and solid, and I'm actually really happy with it. Like it feels amazing, and I think it'll do just fine. But now to the actual leaf springs. Let's get right to it. Now these look a little bit different than when I first got them. When I got them, they were a 4-pack plus the overload. Now, as you can see, I got rid of the overload and I got rid of one of the leaves. Now, I did that basically because I want to try and get the best ride out of this thing. And I think that's gonna accomplish that. But it's not for everybody, and I'll go into that here in a little bit. So this is what the stock leaf pack looks like. As you can see, we have 4 leaves and our overload. Now, like I said, I removed the overload and the 3rd leaf. So not the last, the 3rd. From the top down, the 3rd one. So, like I said, that is gonna give me hopefully better ride. But, like I said, it's not for everybody. And that's because removing the overload in the spring will decrease your payload, as well as it could give you more axle wrap. So like I said, not for everybody, but for, again, what I'm gonna be using this truck for, I think it'll be just fine because it's not gonna be carrying heavy loads, not anymore. And I really think that the combination of the 08 Plus springs, the 8-inch longer springs, along with taking our overload off and our 1 leaf, is really gonna give us a really good ride. Now, the purpose of your overload, as far as I know, is it kind of makes your spring pack compress throughout this whole thing. Because as you can see, it's just one big, long, fat piece of metal. And instead of your springs kind of just compressing here at the middle, they have all of this to kind of compress against. So like I said, without it, you are going to lose quite a bit of your payload. So if you are still towing with your truck, you know, doing all those things, you might want to keep these leaf packs as is. Like I said, just as is, they should ride way better than your OBS pack. But like I said, I want the best ride possible out of this thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Now, my truck had this helper spring already on it, so I am gonna try and keep it. That way, if it ever does get loaded, it's gonna have, you know, this extra spring that's gonna help it. But when it's not loaded, it's not gonna be on the way. Also, I can run airbags. I'm not gonna put them back right away just because the bags that I had were old. I might end up ordering a set before I'm done with this whole thing and throw them in there, so I have them just in case I ever do need to carry something heavy. But for now, that's basically enough explaining. I'm gonna go ahead and take this other leaf spring apart and show you how to do it, just in case you do want to do it. But again, just know what you're getting yourself into, because you are going to lose some capability out of your truck. It's actually quite simple to take your pack apart. All you need is a couple of clamps and a 15 mil socket wrench, as well as a vice grip. The reason why you want the C-clamps is basically because your leaf springs are under a tremendous amount of force, and when you take that centering pin nut out, you don't want all that force, you know, being thrown at you, or you just don't want it released in a violent manner. And these will allow you to control that. And it's actually pretty simple. All you do is put a clamp on either side of the centering pin. And you don't even gotta put that much force on it. Just, you know, make sure that it's on it. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention is, by taking the overload and that extra leaf out, you are gonna lower your truck essentially. You're gonna lower it by about 1.5 inches. So if you're looking to lower your truck, this is a great mod. If you're not, it also might not be for you. We're gonna mess with our truck, possibly messing with different size blocks in the back until we get the stance that we want. Now on the back side, you gotta use your vice grips to hold the centering pin, and that's because, well, it's a pin, not a bolt. So in the back, it has a rounded off head, as you can see, and you can't just put a regular wrench on it, so you gotta put those vice grips on it. The front is just a 15 mil. We'll drive that right out with our impact. Man, I love this thing. Probably my favorite tool that I have. Actually, no, my welder is. Okay. Now with the centering pin nut out, I do usually like leaving the nut on just for a little bit of extra safety. But now we can go ahead and actually take off our clamps. Now, I actually like going a little bit at a time on each side. And this is just gonna control that release a little bit more. There we go. Now we're just gonna go ahead and pull our centering pin out. There we go. The pin is out. And we can also go ahead and remove the overload, which is this big fellow. And the next thing we gotta focus on is actually removing that center leaf. Now again, we're removing the third one from the top down. So 1, 2, 3, this one right here is the one that we're gonna be removing. And it's way easier than I thought it was. All we gotta do is pop this clamp out and pull the leaf out of it. So now basically all you need is a pry bar to open this up. And it does take a little bit of patience to get it open, but you can get it. Now be careful not to go too far because you can actually break these things, and you definitely don't want that. So that one's pretty well bent. We're gonna go ahead and flip this around. And now when it's back here, you gotta actually get it over this little kind of pin or whatever it is. Okay, so once you have that pin completely under this one, we're gonna go ahead and pull this bottom leaf all the way this way so we can free this spring, this leaf. This one's almost out. There we go, this one is out. And just pull it out. Now it's gonna get caught on that same pin here in the back. So we have to do the same thing on that side and just jump it over that little tab or whatever it is. And there we go. We got that third leaf out, and we have our leaf spring pack down to just 3 leaves. So now what we gotta do is recenter this thing and put back all of our shims. Now, if you notice, you have four shims. 3 of them are about the same thickness, and then one's thin. The 3 thick ones went on the main leaves. The thin one went on the very bottom by the overload. Now, another thing is that your centering pin is definitely not gonna work anymore because it's gonna be way too long. So what I did is I went ahead and grabbed some new grade 8 bolts, which will work just fine. All we gotta do is grind down the actual hex pattern on this and make it round. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and I'll check right back in. And there we go. That's basically all you want. It's just a quick, sand down with the flap wheel or whatever else you might have to grind that down. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and throw our this bottom plate with 2 shims and the bolt through it. Now the easiest way that I found to do this is to go one at a time. So put the bolt through the first sleeve, then throw on your plate. And then get it through the next leaf. All right, throw your last plate in. Now, it takes a little bit of finessing, but it's not that crazy hard. There we go. Now we're gonna throw a clamp on just to hold everything in place. There we go. Now we're just gonna throw our new nuts on this. Now this is a different size. I have a 11/16 socket for this. The only thing we have left to do is to clamp these back in, and the way that I do that is with the C-clamp. What I'll do is take my C-clamp and basically just press it back in, just like that. It's like I said, pretty easy. I like going a little bit past the point that it's already touching, and that's just because it'll bounce back a little bit. And that should be pretty good right there. Yep, that's pretty solid. The only other thing left to do is install the little plate for our helper spring. And the plate itself needs some modifications. I grinded down the two little feet here on the back because they were hitting on this plate right there. So you gotta grind those down. And then you also got to grind off a little bit of the top of this bolt because it doesn't quite let it sit level. It's actually riding on the bolt. But like I said, you just got to grind a little bit off the top of that head and you'll be good. Okay guys, and this right here is basically what you're going to end up with. So as you see, we have our little spacer block for our overload. And it's sitting nice and flush on there. We also have our springs in. And there you are, nice and modified. The Senrin pin is right there. And this should work perfectly. I did order a new set of airbags because my old ones were all dry rotted and I just don't really trust them if I'm really gonna be using them. So they should be here in a couple days. And like I mentioned, this might give you axle wrap. And if I do notice that it starts doing that, I might go ahead and order some traction bars. But I'm first gonna try it out like this and see what happens. But yeah, that's basically gonna be it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it helpful. Again, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Check out the rest of the build right over here. As well as some other videos on my channel right here. And if you like it, subscribe. And again, leave a like, leave a comment, and we'll see you for the next one.